Hey there. Welcome to Night Rain Stories. I'm glad you found your way here tonight. Before you drift too far into the dark, take a moment to settle in. Maybe turn off the lights, grab something warm to drink, and let the sound of rain do the rest. If you enjoy slow stories, quiet nights, and the kind of calm that hides a little fear underneath, then you're in the right place. You don't have to like or subscribe right away, just listen first. Feel the rhythm of the words, and if something in the dark whispers to you, maybe that's your sign to stay. Tell me where you're listening from and what the night feels like where you are. It helps me imagine the world through your silence. Now, let's dim the lights, let the rain fall, and begin our night together. You ever driven so long that the road starts to feel like it's watching you? Well, that's exactly what happened to Jake Thompson. Jake was a long-haul truck driver in Australia. The kind of guy who didn't believe in ghosts, curses, or anything supernatural. He believed in engines, maps, and fuel, nothing else. One night, Jake was on his way from Port Augusta heading toward Adelaide, one of the most empty, quiet stretches in South Australia. No towns for miles, no lights except for the stars above and the glow from his truck's headlights cutting through the pitch-black night. It was supposed to be a short trip, a straight shot, easy money. But after 2 hours, Jake began to notice something strange. He saw a big eucalyptus tree on the right side of the road. Old, dry, leaning crooked like it might fall. He thought nothing of it. Until he saw the exact same tree again. And again, same broken branch. Same dead kangaroo carcass next to it. Same white graffiti on the trunk. Turn back. That's when Jake's gut twisted. He checked the GPS on his dashboard, fully charged, working fine. But it said he hadn't moved from his starting point. Like the truck was stuck in place even though it was moving 60 miles per hour. Jake slowed down and squinted into the darkness. Flat red earth, a desert road. No crosswalks, no signs. No way he could have made a turn without noticing. So how was he looping? Then came the voice, a woman's voice. Not from the radio, not from the cab, but from outside, like someone was standing inches away from the window. She whispered, "You shouldn't be here." Jake's heart started hammering in his chest. He pressed the gas harder. He didn't look left. He didn't dare look right. He just stared ahead, gripping the wheel until his nails dug into the leather. But the voice came again, this time from behind him. "You don't belong on this road." He checked the rearview mirror and almost crashed. There was someone sitting in the passenger seat. A woman, pale, eyes blacked out like empty sockets, wearing what looked like a faded 1950s dress, her head slowly turning toward him. No emotion, no movement, just watching. Jake slammed on the brakes so hard the truck fishtailed. The whole road lit up in dust and tire smoke. The woman disappeared. He jumped out, breathing like he'd run a marathon. The air was freezing. The night was dead silent. And then he saw it again. The eucalyptus tree, the dead kangaroo, and the painted words, "Turn back." He backed away slowly, realizing something terrifying. He wasn't lost on the road. The road had trapped him. The loop, locals later called it, a stretch of cursed road where travelers would drive for hours or days, even if their clocks didn't move. Some came out, some didn't. Jake made a final choice. He got back in the truck, turned the wheel around, and drove the opposite direction. Let the GPS die. Let the radio go silent. He didn't care where it took him as long as it wasn't forward. 3 hours later, he saw streetlights. Civilization. He burst into tears. When he checked his fuel tank, it still showed full. And the GPS? It said he never left Port Augusta. To this day, Jake refuses to drive at night. He doesn't talk about what he saw inside the cab. But whenever someone brings up that highway in South Australia, he just shakes his head and says, "If the road ever starts looping, don't wait for a second warning." I heard this story from a truck driver named Dimitri. Big guy, skull tattoo on his hand. The kind of man who could lift an engine block by himself. But when he told this story, his hands were shaking. This happened a few years ago during the winter, deep in Siberia. If you've never been there, imagine this. A never-ending road, buried under white snow, nothing but frozen land and dead trees for miles. Temperature minus 30 degrees Celsius. If you stand outside too long, even your breath freezes in the air. Dimitri was hauling steel from Omsk, a 2-day drive. Sleeping in the cabin, eating canned food, listening to crackling radio. That was his life. Around 11 p.m., he reached a stretch of road that was terrifyingly quiet. No cars, no houses. No lights, just the engine humming, and the sound of wind scraping against the truck. Then through the snowfall, he noticed something, a figure, standing on the side of the road. At first, he thought it was a shadow, but as he got closer, the shape became clear. A woman, wearing a white fur coat, long black hair, skin pale as snow. She was waving slowly, like asking for help. Now in Russia, hitchhikers in the cold aren't unusual, but there's one rule every trucker knows. Never stop for a stranger when you're alone. Too many stories about criminals pretending to be victims, but Dmitri said there was something different about her. She looked weak, frozen, like she had just escaped a snowstorm. He stopped. He lowered the window just a little. "Where are you heading?" Her voice was dry and fragile. "To the village, near the woods. Please take me, before it's too late." She got into the cabin. The moment she did, the temperature dropped. Dmitri could see his own breath inside the truck. And she didn't speak again, just sat there staring forward. Once she whispered, "Don't stop until I say so." Dmitri began to feel uneasy. He checked the rearview mirror. Her face looked pale, lips purple, eyes empty. Her hands were bluish, almost frostbitten, not like someone who was cold, but like someone who had already frozen to death. An hour passed. Suddenly, she was gone. The seat was empty, no trace, but the cold was still in the air. Dmitri felt something watching him from behind, but he didn't dare turn his head. Then he heard her voice whispering from right behind his seat. "Don't stop, it's not time yet." He slammed the brakes, heart pounding. "Who's there?" Silence. He stepped out, opened the back of the truck. Nothing. Just darkness and cold air pressing into him. He climbed back in, shaking. He turned on the radio to steady his nerves. Static, static. Then a voice, a woman, crying softly. "Why did you leave me on the road?" He turned off the radio. He was done. He pushed the gas and drove, not caring where he was anymore. He just wanted to get away. But the road ahead wasn't the same. Instead of a straight highway, he saw two roads splitting into the woods. His GPS died, no signal. Just snow and darkness. That's when he saw her again, standing right in front of the truck, still expressionless. He hit the brakes. She walked slowly toward the driver's window. Her face appeared inches away from the glass. Skin cracked like ice, eyes black and endless. "I haven't gone home. You must take me there." She pointed into the woods. Dmitri tried to fight it, but his hands moved on their own. The truck rolled down a smaller road into the forest path. After a few minutes, he saw an old wooden gate. Behind it, in a snow-covered field. A graveyard. Her seat was empty again. Dmitri stepped out, legs shaking. He walked toward the nearest cross. Snow covered the words, so he brushed it aside. A name appeared. Elena Kayanda, December 7, 2019, below it. Found frozen on the road. No one stopped. Dmitri fell to his knees. He hadn't rescued her. She had guided him back to her grave. After that night, Dmitri refused to drive in winter ever again. He always said one thing when people asked him why. If you see someone on the road in a snowstorm, and they still look alive, sometimes that's worse than if they look dead. Because not everyone who needs help is still human. And to this day, truckers in Siberia claim they sometimes catch something in their rearview mirror. A shape in the back seat, silent, waiting to be taken home. There's a long stretch of highway in Brazil called BR-319. It cuts through a massive chunk of the Amazon rainforest. And if you ask any trucker who's driven that route at night, they'll all tell you the same thing. Don't look in the rearview mirror. Miguel was a cargo driver out of Manaus. Been on the road since he was 19. Stoic guy, never talked much, never complained. And he didn't believe in anything supernatural until one night changed everything. He was hauling construction equipment, heading down BR-319 just after midnight. No cities, no lights, just trees on both sides of the road. The kind of darkness where even the stars seemed afraid to shine. An hour in, Miguel noticed something strange. He kept hearing a soft tapping, like fingers, on the back window of his truck. Slow, steady, like someone was calmly trying to get his attention. But Miguel knew better than to stop. Too many stories of people being robbed, kidnapped, or worse out there. So he drove on. The tapping continued, and then it stopped. Miguel breathed out a shaky laugh. Probably branches, he told himself. He checked the rearview mirror and froze. There was a woman sitting in the passenger seat of his trailer. He couldn't see her face. Her hair was long, wet, hanging over her shoulders like she'd just crawled out of a river. Her clothes were torn, soaked in mud, and she wasn't moving. Miguel's foot lifted off the gas. His breathing turned cold, but then she moved. Her head jerked upward, snapping into an upright position way too fast for a normal human. Then her hand slowly, jerkily, reached out toward the glass of the back window. Blood smeared down the surface. Miguel almost lost control. His hand slipped on the wheel. He started praying in Portuguese, voice cracking, tears in his eyes. But the worst part wasn't that she was in the back. It was that she was getting closer. Every few seconds she appeared a little nearer, like she was moving toward him but not walking. Just relocating. One blink, she was at the edge of the trailer. Another blink, she was standing in the gap between the seats. He didn't dare turn around. He just kept his eyes on the road, hands trembling, trying to not scream. Her voice was quiet, like someone exhaling words. "Did you see me?" Miguel clenched his jaw so hard his teeth hurt. His whole body shook. He couldn't respond. He couldn't even breathe. The woman kept talking. "Why didn't you stop? Why didn't you help me?" She sounded like a drowning child, a broken whisper full of pain and anger. That's when Miguel made the most dangerous decision of his life. He slammed on the brakes. The truck skidded, tires screaming, gravel spitting out like sparks. Silence. He reached for a small cross hanging from his mirror. His voice cracked as he whispered, "Deus me protege." God protect me. Slowly he turned around. Nobody there. The cab was empty. The tapping stopped. The air felt warm again. The forest outside was still. Miguel leaned forward and sobbed into the steering wheel. He stayed there for almost 20 minutes until he could breathe again. The next morning, he stopped at a roadside diner to rest. The waitress saw how pale and shaken he looked and asked if he was okay. Miguel hesitated, but finally told her everything. She nodded slowly and said, "You're lucky. Others don't make it out. The woman you saw, she died on that road. People say she appears to truckers who ignore stranded women in the night. She wants to know why no one stopped." Miguel never drove at night again. He never used the rearview mirror if he was alone. He covered it with tape. And if anyone mentions BR 319, he looks them dead in the eyes and says, "If you ever hear tapping, don't look and don't stop."